So before we get started, we'd love to share our rap song introduction video, and we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, okay, organic base, this is what you need. Take you to the future, live a life that can be disease-free. All these toxins are taxing on our bodies, no doubt. All these GMOs and these processed foods we can live without. Yeah, wanna see you live a long time. Contaminants in our water and our food supply. From the meat to the dairy and the fish, what a shame. Not realizing that my insides were inflamed. Hold up, I know it's hard to digest, that's right. I found an organic plant-based website. I even got the app, yo, this is where it's at. Promoting a healthy life, it's time to put it on the map. Assuaged, trust you don't wanna miss. It's time for you to be your best, be your healthiest. Assuaged, trust you don't wanna miss. It's time for you to be your best, be your healthiest. Hey, Assuaged, let's go.
Hi, am I doing the intro, Cynthia? Okay, hey guys. This is Dumisani Maraire Jr. I'm a celebrity photographer out here in Los Angeles with Red Carpet Series and Love Heals the World. And today we're here to do a little presentation for the Assuaged Foundation. And we have a couple different sorry, I have some graphics that are covering my words here. But we're doing progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. That's what we're going to be discussing today, which is out for raising awareness to complex neurological conditions. And this is brought to you by the Assuaged Foundation. Of course, thanks to Restream for having us and for sponsoring this presentation for us today. So we have some student speakers that would like to thank for being with us today. Our student speakers are Crystal Rylowicz. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing all of this correctly. I have a very tough name to pronounce as well. So if I pronounce anything wrong, let me know. And we have Blanca Morales. We have Zuha Mehdi. And we have Karizza Cordero. Karizza Cordero. And of course, I'm the presenter, Dumisani Maraire Jr., as we mentioned before. And we are going to have some slide contributions from Zuha, from Karizza, and from Kadeza Ahmed. All right. So yeah, once again, thank you, Restream, for making this happen. And Restream is obviously a very powerful multi-platform streaming platform that has capabilities to broaden our reach and to help us connect with diverse communities across various social media platforms. Our message of public health and wellness now reaches those who need it the most, all thanks to Restream. So thank you, Restream. All right, our agenda today. We have 4 parts to our agenda. We have an introduction and overview. So we're going to be talking about the types, symptoms, impact, causes, the pathology, the diagnosis, and management. And then our second one is going to be personal cases. So, we'll be talking about a couple particular people. There's Wendy Williams, Bruce Willis, their diagnosis and their reported behavioral changes. The third part of our agenda will be prevention and intervention strategies and legal and financial considerations. So our current research trends are what we're going to be looking into. We're going to be looking into the caregiving challenges and strategies, the community support and advocacy. And the fourth part of our agenda will be addressing stigma, which is very important because stigma is a big thing. And I think it stops a lot of people from getting help when they need it. So addressing stigma, a lot of the misconceptions and the conclusions that people make. And obviously we'll have a nice student discussion after that as well. So that's our plan.
So let's start our presentation. We will explore progressive aphasia, also known as PA, and frontotemporal dementia, FTD, in this presentation, revealing their profound effects on communication, behavior, and cognition. Understanding these disorders empowers individuals, families, and caregivers to navigate diagnosis, treatment, and support. We will delve into the types, symptoms, underlying causes, and available treatment options for PA and FTD. Join us in unraveling these complex neurological conditions and their impact on their daily life. So what is progressive aphasia? PA is a brain condition in which a person gradually loses the ability to use language. They might need help finding words, forming sentences, understanding speech, reading, and writing. It differs from occasionally forgetting words. It worsens over time and can make communication difficult. Progressive aphasia encompasses different types, each affecting language abilities in distinct ways. Semantic variant struggles with understanding, using words, and their meanings, leading to difficulty in communication. Non-fluent and agrammatic variants are challenges in forming sentences, speaking fluently, and using grammar correctly. And logopedic variant is characterized by difficulties finding the right words and expressing thoughts clearly. Some of the symptoms and characteristics of progressive aphasia include difficulty with speaking, writing, reading, and understanding language. Some individuals may struggle to find the right words, form coherent sentences, or comprehend what others are saying. They may also experience challenges in reading and writing. This progressive loss of language skills can lead to frustration, social isolation, and decreased independence. Additionally, the impact of progressive aphasia extends beyond communication difficulties, affecting various aspects of daily life, relationships, and overall well-being. Some of the causes and pathology of progressive aphasia, according to the Mayo Foundation for Medical Education and Research in 2023, you may follow along with the graphic on the side. The underlying causes of progressive aphasia are often related to neurodegenerative diseases such as frontotemporal dementia or Alzheimer's disease. PA primarily affects the brain's left hemisphere, particularly areas crucial for language processing. Pathologically, a buildup of proteins like tau and TDP43 in brain tissue leads to the loss of brain cells or neurons in language sensors. These changes disrupt communication pathways, contributing to the progressive decline in language function characteristics. Diagnosis of progressive aphasia. According to Europa, diagnosing progressive aphasia involves a thorough clinical assessment process. This includes gathering detailed medical and family history, conducting neurological examinations, and assessing speech and language skills with the help of a speech-language pathologist, or an SLP. MRI scans can visualize the brain for abnormalities. Diagnosis relies on observing a progressive decline in language skills and specific patterns of language impairment, and ruling out other neurological conditions. Lastly, medical professionals such as neurologists and SLPs play key roles in diagnosing and managing these conditions, offering support, therapy, and strategies to enhance communication. So this is some of the treatment and the way in which we can manage progressive aphasia. Speech therapy. A speech-language pathologist can help improve communication skills through targeted exercise and strategies for compensating for language difficulties. Antidepressants can help address symptoms of depression that may co-occur. Individual and family counseling provides emotional support and guidance for coping with challenges of progressive aphasia. Also support groups connecting with others facing similar situations can offer comfort and shared experiences. Assistive technology, tools like communication devices and software can help individuals maintain communication and independence. And finally, cognitive rehabilitation, where therapists work on improving cognitive functions like memory, attention, and problem solving. There is currently no cure for PA, but some medications may help manage specific symptoms.
What is frontotemporal dementia? FTD is a group of brain conditions where nerve cells in certain areas, frontal and temporal lobes, slowly die off over time. This causes problems with thinking, behavior, and language that worsen as the disease progresses. Please look at the illustration as we explain. The affected brain regions include front, frontal lobes. They are responsible for executive functions like planning, decision-making, judgment, and emotional control. Temporal lobes play a crucial role in language processing, memory formation, and sensory perception. These are the different types of FTD. Behavioral variant FTD, known as BVFTD, is characterized by personality, behavior, and social interaction changes. Primary progressive aphasia is PPA and focuses on the progressive decline in language abilities with three subtypes. Somatic variant PPA includes difficulty understanding the meaning of words and objects. Non-fluent variant PPA challenges occur with speech production and grammar. In C, logopenic variant PPA is difficulty finding the right words to express oneself. Symptoms and characteristics of frontotemporal dementia. FTD presents with various symptoms and characteristics impacting behavior, cognition, and physical abilities. These include apathy, loss of empathy, repetitive behaviors, and difficulties with planning and organization. Individuals may exhibit inappropriate social behavior and have trouble finding words or understanding spoken language. Physical symptoms such as muscle stiffness, tremors, impaired balance, and difficulty swallowing can also occur. These symptoms can lead to significant challenges in daily life, social interactions, and independence, affecting the individual with FTD and their caregivers or loved ones. Causes and pathology of frontotemporal dementia. According to the Regents of the University of California in 2024, genetic mutations in genes like MAPT, GRN, and C9orf72 cause FTD. These mutations lead to abnormal protein buildup, damaging neurons, and disrupting cellular processes crucial for brain health. Pathologically, FTD involves brain atrophy, shrinking of the brain tissue, especially in the frontal and temporal lobes, and neural loss caused by abnormal protein aggregation and cellular dysfunction. These changes impair brain function, resulting in the symptoms and challenges associated with FTD. Diagnosis of frontotemporal dementia. According to the Regents of the University 2024, doctors adopt a comprehensive approach to diagnosing frontotemporal dementia (FTD), considering medical history, family input, cognitive tests, and brain scans. They must exclude other causes and observe gradual behavior changes. Variant FTD, known as BVFTD, 3 out of 6 key symptoms such as impulsivity, or loss of interest are necessary. FTD symptoms, like behavioral shifts or language problems, resemble Alzheimer's but may include impulsiveness. Apathy, common in FTD, is milder than in Alzheimer's. Early symptom detection and brain imaging are crucial as FTD can mimic depression or bipolar disorder, necessitating accurate tests for diagnosis.
Many of you know the iconic Wendy Williams, a household name in entertainment. Recently, she bravely shared her diagnosis of aphasia, a condition impacting communication. While this news resonated personally with her fans, it also serves as a valuable public health awareness moment. While not a disease itself, it often accompanies conditions like dementia. Early detection is key. Seek medical advice if you notice a loved one struggling to find words, speaking in short sentences, or having trouble following conversations. Let's use Wendy's story as a springboard for learning. By raising awareness, we can support those impacted by aphasia and encourage open conversations about brain health. Together, we can build a more understanding and supportive community.
So we're going to talk about the cases. So Wendy Williams and Bruce Willis's specifically. So personal cases. So following the high-profile announcement of Bruce Willis's diagnosis of primary progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, now talk show host Wendy Williams has been diagnosed with the same. In 2023, last year, Wendy Williams was diagnosed with FTD and aphasia. Her public announcement helped raise awareness for this lesser-known form of dementia, and specific details about her symptoms have not been shared publicly. However, FTD can affect behavior, language, and decision-making abilities. FTD can have a profound impact on individuals' life, and her case exemplifies this, where they have career challenges, where FTD can make continuing a demanding career difficult due to declining cognitive abilities, along with personal life changes, where the condition can affect their relationships, communication, and even their daily activities. And lastly, beyond these cases, FTD is a broader issue affecting many people today. If you suspect you or someone you might know who has FTD, it is vital to consult with a healthcare professional, and a doctor can diagnose FTD and discuss treatment options for you. So Bruce Willis's reported behavioral changes. So he himself, actor Bruce Willis' retirement from acting occurred in 2022, 2 years ago, which sparked public curiosity and speculation about his health. There was media attention. His decision to step away from acting, which fueled media speculation about his well-being. And even a family statement came out. So in March 2022, his family released a statement confirming his diagnosis of aphasia, a language disorder impacting his cognitive abilities. And then he had to step away from the spotlight, so the diagnosis prompted him and his family to help him prioritize his health and well-being, and his impact on his career. Aphasia can make acting extremely challenging, and mainly since actors' careers rely heavily on communication. And while Bruce is no longer acting, his family's transparency about his health has raised awareness about aphasia. Current research and trends. So new research on PA, progressive aphasia, and frontotemporal dementia, FTD, reveals fascinating discoveries. Scientists explore the genes, the molecules, and the brain changes to understand these conditions better. They have found new genetic mutations which were linked to familial FTD and PA, deepening our genetic knowledge. And brain imaging also helps spot structural and functional changes in the brain, aiding early diagnosis and tracking disease progression. Overall, these insights offer hope to improved understanding, diagnosis, and treatment of PA and FTD. Caregiving challenges and strategies. So caregivers of individuals with progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia face significant challenges. PA can impair communication, while FTD affects behavior and personality, straining caregiver-patient relationships and causing feelings of frustration and isolation. The coping strategies for caregivers include seeking social support, joining caregiver groups, practicing self care, and accessing relief care services. Overall, numerous resources like educational programs and caregiver helplines are available to provide support and guidance. And lastly, organizations such as the Alzheimer's Association and the Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration offer valuable assistance to these caregivers navigating these complex conditions. Legal and financial considerations. So, early legal and financial planning is crucial for those with progressive aphasia and frontal dementia to ensure their wishes are respected and their affairs managed effectively. Options like the power of attorney and advance directives designate trusted decision makers when individuals can no longer communicate due to disease progression. And then advanced directives specify medical preferences, maintaining autonomy as communication declines. And then third, financial planning, including long-term care, insurance, and estate planning, prepares for care costs and asset distribution. And then four, early planning empowers individuals to have a say in their future, providing peace of mind for them and their families.
Community support and advocacy. Community organizations and support groups play a vital role in providing emotional support, education, and resources to individuals affected by progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia and their caregivers. Advocacy efforts aim to raise awareness about these conditions, reduce stigma, and promote research funding. Opportunities for involvement include participating in fundraising events, volunteering with community organizations, advocating for policy changes to improve access to care, and support services for those impacted by progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. These collective efforts help strengthen support networks and advance the interests of individuals living with these conditions. Addressing stigma and misconceptions. To combat stigma and misconceptions are about progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, education is vital. Education plays a vital role. Increasing awareness through campaigns, personal stories, and healthcare training fosters empathy. Personal connections with those affected decrease stigma. Challenging assumptions and fostering inclusion are vital to breaking the silence and providing support. Collaborative efforts like peer groups and partnerships strengthen advocacy and address language and behavioral challenges in these progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. Future directions in treatment and management. Looking ahead, promising avenues for treating progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia are emerging, emphasizing collaboration and interdisciplinary research. Through collaborative efforts, we can improve the outcomes. For example, precision medicine tailors treatment to individual genetic disease characteristics. Immunotherapies and drugs that target abnormal proteins linked to FTD and progressive aphasia. Early identification through gene therapy and screening allows timely intervention. Lifestyle changes like healthy diet and exercise may reduce the risk or slow the progression of these diseases. Neuroimaging and biomarker research aid in early diagnosis. Collaboration among researchers, clinicians, and advocacy groups are vital for innovative treatments and preventive measures. In conclusion, understanding of this topic of progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia is vital for addressing their challenges. We have highlighted the diverse causes beyond stroke, emphasizing early detection and support for improved outcomes. Education and advocacy reduce the stigma and enhance access to resources. In conclusion, let us commit to ongoing learning, proactive support, and unwavering advocacy for those affected by progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. Together, we can empower individuals and families to navigate their journey with strength and resilience, ensuring they receive the care and the dignity they deserve.
And now it's time. We have our little section with some questions here, and it's time for our student discussion. So, our first questions that we'll be having here for the discussion are, what is frontotemporal dementia and what are the different types? So, frontotemporal dementia results from damage to the neurons in the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain. FTD affects the brain's FTD affects the brain's frontal and temporal lobes, in which specific abilities such as movement, judgment, and decision making are worsened. The two types of FTD are primarily progressive aphasia and behavioral variant FTD. Primarily, aphasia can affect your ability to speak and understand spoken language. Second question is here. What are some common causes of aphasia beyond stroke? Aphasia is most often caused by stroke. However, any brain damage can cause aphasia. This includes brain tumors, traumatic brain injury, and brain disorders that get worse over time, such as dementia.
Thank you so much, Dumi, for
My
doing that.
pleasure.
Yeah, for reading those two questions. So now what we do is we're in a huddle and we're going to provide our individual insights about these two questions. So, Zuha, you're at the top, my dear. Why don't you take that away?
Yeah, sure. Hi, thank you. So, frontotemporal dementia is progressive. So, that means the symptoms get worse over time. In early stages, people may just have one symptom, and the disease progresses. Other symptoms will appear as the parts of the brain are which parts of the brain slowly gets affected. So, it is difficult to predict how long someone with FTD can live. So early symptoms with FTD can be aphasia that can be subtle and often go unnoticed because they mimic everyday issues. For instance, an individual may begin to experience difficulty in finding the right words during conversations, which could be easily mistaken for like they are in stress or they are fatigued.
Thank you so much. Crystal, what are your insights, my dear?
Um, Sadly, our family just lost the great grandmother of my boyfriend's grandchildren, and it had started about a year ago where she had had a stroke and she was still able to talk, and then all of a sudden one day her speech just disappeared and she could no longer hardly move. um, and sadly she would have been turning 75 in June, and the doctors kept insisting it was Lou Gehrig's disease. And I must admit that because I don't watch the news a whole lot, more and more with this presentation, I've become educated where it seems like their great grandmother may have had aphasia because she definitely had a stroke, and it is very sad. So, make sure that you're watching your loved ones. And if you see anything wrong, insist a medical test, a medical diagnosis, just anything rather than let it go, because you never know when it could take its course and just totally knock you out. This poor great grandma, unfortunately, she could still think, she could write on a little whiteboard, but she could not communicate. And she suffered in the end. And she hung on as long as she could, but her mind was suffering, not even so much her body pain. And it was just awful. And it takes a toll on the family as well. So get help as soon as you notice something's wrong.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I mean, I don't have too much personal experience of this disorder, but it's scary because you hear about dementia and who wants to like essentially leave going out of their mind, so to speak. And this is definitely like a new illness that just kind of came out, or it's under development, I would say. We were just hearing about this, and yeah, it's scary, and having that awareness is going to be very important for protecting ourselves, our loved ones. And so, Blanca, what do you think, my dear? Oh, you're on mute, my dear. Oops. Here, I took you off.
Okay, thank you. So I was reading about aphasia, and I have heard it based on the two celebrity cases that we showed the video on and we spoke about. I did hear about those two cases, and I at the time I read a little bit about it, and it was really interesting to learn that you cannot prevent it. You cannot prevent aphasia because most of the cases, I think it was about 25 to 40% of people that get aphasia after a stroke. And the only way that you can't 100% prevent a stroke, but you can follow recommendations from your physician. So it's important to follow recommendations from your physician in terms of leading a healthy lifestyle. So your eating, your exercise, and sort of like trying to really maintain yourself at a good level so that your risk of getting a stroke can be lowered. But also, if it's something that you cannot 100% prevent, then it's important to stay alert into how the changes that you're experiencing. Now, my grandmother has a neighbor that I grew up knowing my whole life, and he suffers from dementia. And I remember that when he got diagnosed at the beginning, it was really hard for his wife because they are both elders and they're in their 70s and 80s now, I believe, 70s or 80s. And because they lived by just the two of them, they really, their sons and daughters, they lived out of state. So they really didn't have anyone to assist them. And the gentleman that had dementia, the first part of that, he was very aggressive with her. He just didn't understand. He will get frustrated, and many times he left the house when she was busy, and a couple of times they had to go help her find him because he just didn't remember how to come back home. And then he would not want to listen to her, and so like Crystal said, it really does take a toll on the family, and it's important to try to get resources so that you can help people that are maybe single or don't have another family member to care for them, or elderly people who are not surrounded by loved ones, maybe they live far away, so that they can get the help. I think that now they have a health aide, so someone that comes and helps her with the care of her husband, because it has really taken a toll on her. But she's doing the best that she can, and thankfully, we know them very much, and so if there's any way that we can help a neighbor, then if you can, that would be really great as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I do know, with you, kind of, it's so common, right? Dementia and now this aphasia, and just hearing. I watched the Wendy Williams. I don't know if you guys have. I think it's on Lifetime. It's really scary because you just go seeing the beginning of her career, and she's not even the same person. And Bruce Willis is going through that. And I kind of did some preliminary studies, and I read that when you're an actor and actress, you're reading, you're memorizing a lot of lines. So there have been some studies that have indicated that could cause an overwhelm to your brain, memorizing all those lines for all those parts, and like a brain overload, if you will. And then I know there's medications like Ambien and Adderall, in which I have taken, and that has scared me to just know, those could be potential, causes. And then there's aluminum and white bread, things that are all kind of linked to these kind of brain functioning disorders. Karizza, what do you think, my dear?
So through research, especially doing this research for this particular discussion, I learned that these neurological conditions aren't as common as Alzheimer's disease, but they're not super rare either, which is kind of surprising. So this whole, pretty much this whole line of discussion, this brings awareness and to do early prevention. So pretty much this takes up a small part of the dementia cases for the PA and FTD, because the different types of FTD and knowing about them helps with the early detection and support for those affected. And then since individuals either become misdiagnosed or undiagnosed, which was really surprising through the research. And then additionally, aphasia is not just occurred from stroke, as we said. According to various studies, it can also be caused by, along with like infections, seizures, migraines, oxygen deprivation, along with toxic exposure. And pretty much understanding the symptoms and causes helps people relate to this health issue. along as what we might know that maybe somebody, as we previously mentioned, might be affected by it or experience similar situations. So overall, I am glad that we were able to present this Public Health Live discussion today and to promote awareness and prevention on this matter.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And we'll hand it back over to Dubney.
Um, all right. Yeah. So we have some more questions here for our student discussion. Thank you very much for those amazing answers and sharing your personal experiences, of course. Um, so the third question here is, what type of disorder is aphasia? According to the American Speech Language Hearing Association in 2024, aphasia is a language disorder caused by brain damage. Your brain has two halves. So there's the language. So language and skills are in the left half for most people, and damage on the left side of your brain may lead to language problems. Right brain damage may cause other problems like poor attention or memory. So that's for the third question. For the fourth question, we have, how many people know about aphasia in the US, and which famous actors have been diagnosed with these neurodegenerative diseases? The National Aphasia Association of 2016 surveyed people to determine what they knew about aphasia. Results revealed that only 8.8% of respondents correctly identified aphasia as a language disorder, and the other 91.2% needed to learn. That makes sense because I feel like for me, especially aphasia, I wasn't very familiar with aphasia, dementia for sure, but this is also a new topic to me. Bruce Willis and Wendy Williams have been diagnosed with the same illnesses, aphasia and FTD, according to WebDesk in 2024. So those are our two questions here. We have, what type of disorder is aphasia? And the fourth one just disappeared, but I guess how many people are aware of it? Yeah.
Awesome. Zuha, you want to take us off here, love?
Yeah, sure. In most cases, aphasia comes on suddenly, like after a stroke or a traumatic brain injury. In a person is having a brain tumor or progressive neurological disease, then progressive aphasia can develop faster in those patients. So coming to there was a newly released document about Wendy Williams. It was titled as "Where is Wendy Williams?" And it was highlighting her emotional decline and her cognitive ability declining and her stepping back from her career. So it also did focus on her progressive aphasia and FTD symptoms. It addressed that it also came into light that she was living with also two different diseases too, called as lymphedema and the Graves' disease. It was there in that documentary. And also then her team came up, stepped up forward to address that she's getting her current medical care at some cornell medicine or something. And then it was also noted that Wendy Williams is not taking complete rest. She's also doing many things on her own, but her team is making sure that she gets the care that she needs so that she's protected from harmful events that could happen from this disorder.
Thank you so much. And you know what, Dubney? I did not ask you on the last two questions. You have got to have some insight on this.
Oh boy, not really. Dementia, I mean, I've had obviously, uncles and aunts and lots of family members who have lived for, into their 80s, 90s and stuff like that. The last that I could remember though was just I don't remember dementia so much. I did have an uncle who had a tumor, and that affected a lot of his speech and a lot of other things. My father passed away from a stroke, but he passed away, so we didn't get to see the other side of it. Maybe we would have seen the other side if that's probably something we would have had to deal with if that was the case. But yeah, I haven't personally dealt with dementia that much. I've obviously just heard about it a lot, and I'm familiar with it. I know what my personal question probably for the students would be: what separates, regular dementia from aphasia like we're discussing right now?
Thank you. Thank you. Crystal, did you want to take a dive into that one?
Um, well, Doomney, to answer your question, I think really it depends on the testing that is available that they can do. Since there are different types of aphasia, for example, not everything is going to be the same as dementia either. And you can categorize, like we did learn throughout the presentation, a lot of symptoms do mimic bipolar, and they mimic this and they mimic that. And so I'm surprised on a couple of levels that we really haven't heard of this before now, because this really doesn't sound like it's anything that just really recently cropped up. So it makes you wonder how long they've really known that this has been around and how many other people have died from it that we don't even know before, Bruce Willis and Wendy Williams have been diagnosed. And then the second thing is that this is now a hot topic trending. I'm really surprised that more people are not trying to take a stand to be more involved and advocate. You hear about all the illnesses and you hear about all the famous people, and it's the same thing when you see a famous person in a cigarette ad or drinking or buying the brand new phone, everybody runs out and does it. But where are our famous people advocating for Bruce Willis and Wendy Williams right now? Why are people not more aware of what is going on? And so to wrap up my final thoughts, this is very, very sad. And I am very appreciative to be a part of this and learn. And I will shout from the rooftops the knowledge that I've learned and continue to learn to continue to educate others.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And Blanca, I see in the chat here, because we're all recording this and then we have a little chat going on, to further answer on Doomney's question. Zuha said aphasia, people have difficulties in communicating. Blanca, you said dementia is an umbrella term. Aphasia has to do with communication. As Zuha says, but aphasia does not affect their intelligence. In dementia, people have confused thoughts. So I could kind of see the differences in what you guys are kind of outlining. I'm learning so much here, and I would just love, Blanca, if you want to kind of to hone in more on this.
Yeah, so I think that many of us were more familiar with, dementia in terms of Alzheimer's, because dementia includes Alzheimer's disease. But aphasia specifically, I think that we were unaware of, sort of like the similarities, but also like it has their own diagnosis, and it does require a lot of testing for it. I learned a lot during this presentation because there were just, like I did not know that there was so much to it. Definitely with communication, I can see the difficulty that it can be, not being understood, not being able to express yourself clearly. Sometimes they're like, oh, like I'm forgetting things. I'm going, have to check my brain or something. I think many of us say it so lightly. We're like, oh, I'm just very forgetful. But to actually be diagnosed and you are struggling to communicate with somebody else and getting that frustration, I can't imagine being that frustrated because you are not able to express yourself or you're not understanding. And it really does make me think about the elderly community. And just learning in this presentation that you may need access to a language speech pathologist or therapy, or someone that can of assistance, maybe like a home health aide that can help you just watch over your loved one, or just have that support system. I can imagine that there are a lot of people that do not have access to these resources, and so bringing awareness to it is really important, because that is how we are able to help communities that are affected by this illness and this disease, but also need the resources available to support their loved ones.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And Karizza, I know you have some burning thoughts on your mind.
Overall, it's just disheartening that this neurological disorder is impairing language abilities. This presents a very, like, there are a lot of like communication challenges, as we mentioned throughout this whole presentation, and it's unfortunate to emphasize that there's no cure for this. And however, during this presentation, we did mention some strategies and interventions where like therapies, like with the speech language pathologists, can help focus on the rehabilitation for speech, along with the cognitive linguistic treatment are there to help. But even though, despite its prevalence, aphasia often lacks a public understanding, which is what we are experiencing today, and then emphasizing that the need for awareness and empathy on this matter is very imperative. But overall, my final thoughts is that this issue requires ongoing research to improve its diagnostics along with the treatments, and for sure societal support for better outcomes and quality of life for those affected, like these celebrities.
Thank you for sharing that. Such a great conversation today. And Dumni, I'll let you put out the closing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess in closing, it's a little it's a little tough to you know, say exactly what people should do different, but I think it all comes down to diet, right? That's what it sounds like for the most part. There's no 100% preventing this, but we can just improve our chances, right? And our odds and everything else like that. And the best way to do that is through diet. So that's what I'm getting out of it. I'm hoping that other people get something similar, or maybe even a better message out of it. And I just want to thank all of our lovely students who joined us today in this conversation and this discussion. Thank you all so much, Zuha, Blanca, Karizza, Crystal, and of course, Cynthia. We love you. Yeah, and once again, thanks a lot to Restream and Assuaged Foundation. This was our presentation today concerning progressive aphasia and frontotemporal dementia. And if I mispronounce that at any point during this conversation, sorry, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.